Cannot or will not.
A little bit.
It's the will not.
I'm better. Yeah, that's a little better.
You are hot.
Ralph Furlong.
I know I'm hot, Larry.
Hot. Let's go to work.
Let's go to work.
You sit on the toilet, don't you? Use that as your meditation.
Not my wife, not your wife, nor anybody listening to this podcast has eaten a shit sandwich we didn't have a hand in making.
Welcome to Recovery Unfiltered. I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic.
I am Rob. I am also an alcoholic. We are not professionals. There are no letters after our names. We know very little. However, you will hear the word God and a four-letter word in the same sentence. You will also be offended. So if you are easily offended, just pass us by. This podcast is not for you.
Our opinions are just that. If you don't agree with what we're saying, that's okay. We're going to love you anyways. We are not in any way affiliated with AA.
So sit back, grab a beverage of your choice, and get ready.
Let's go. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Larry. I wonder.
What? You wonder, all right.
You know, when people ever hear the introduction and say, you know what? I think I'm going to pass this podcast by. These God in a four-letter word or whatever, whatever they heard that.
They had a bunch of them on our last episode.
You know what we should do?
What?
Do give them that old Herbert Spencer thing, contempt prior to investigation. Hold on. Fuck, let's do that.
Wait. Hey, we got John sitting in with us again this week. Hi, John.
Hi, Larry.
Welcome back.
John loves Herbert Spencer.
John.
What?
Turn that mic a little bit towards you. There you go. There you go.
Well, I had it sideways so I could see my book. It's it's really hard to see this big book through the mic. Not affiliated, by the way.
Hey, so we got John coming back in this week only because we're gonna run through a topic here pretty soon. But after Rob, what are you doing over there?
567.
You got worse ADHD than I do.
No, I don't know.
567.
God damn it!
No, you're fuck crazy. Here it is. There is a principle, which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all arguments, which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation. So don't turn off our podcast just because we ruffled your feathers in the first 2 seconds. Give it a shot and give us an opportunity to really piss you off. Then leave. But before you leave, email us at recoveryunfilteredpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us how stupid we are.
Give us some kind of feedback.
Tell us why we...
And then call your sponsor.
And then call your sponsor and start praying for us. He's going to say, well, you better pray for them buggers. Go to page 552 and pray for them.
Rob's on fire today. Holy shit. How many of those ghosts have you had to drink?
Just one. I don't normally have one. I took one from my son. It's grape juice. I like grape. Look at that, Johnny. Welch's.
He's spinning that can so fast I can't even read what it says.
Welch's grape.
You guys are in a treat today. We got Rob.
Wow.
Rob's on fire. Hey,
wait, but you know what I told someone?
What happened
yesterday? We were talking. Well, we were at breakfast with Matt, and I think I might have shared this on the podcast, John. When early sobriety, when I was struggling with something, and I knew, like, say you had a great sponsor, or like Larry's got had a fantastic sponsor.
Fired that fucker.
Fired that little bastard. So I would say things I would know. I say things in the rooms I knew would offend you, and you would. This is going to piss John off, and I would share it because I knew John would go to a sponsor. That little fucking Portuguese prick. Well, what's your sponsor going to say? Did he offend you? You got a resentment towards Rob. Pray for him. Better go pray. So I'd be getting all kinds of prayers.
Those are forced prayers, though.
That's all right. They're prayers, and I needed them. And I'm sure that got me through a hard time or two.
I need you to catch us up on your Trigger Man.
Trigger Man's drunk, by the way.
Okay.
He's drunk, John.
What a surprise.
But it wasn't one of the, because he only had 2 triggers, with excitement with his buddies, so that was it. But he's drunk and, no excitement. It was something else. So no trigger.
Do you know what the other thing was?
Yeah. Okay. He found Roy Rogers' horse.
Wow. Yeah. I thought Trigger died a long time ago.
Well, he stuffed.
Didn't they stuff him?
Stuff him.
Put him in a museum somewhere.
Trigger number 1, they did. They stuffed him. So he proved himself wrong to himself, and I can't wait to see him. And I love the guy, and I wish him.
We all love him. He's a great guy. We've been talking. Hold on, I want to preference this. We've been talking a lot of shit about this guy.
Not really.
We have. Stop saying that. We have. We almost did a whole podcast last week on the guy. But it's not just him. It's anybody that has that says they have that trigger.
That reservation.
That reservation, right? If you have something triggering you, good grief, you better get back to work on something, right? Yeah. You got something left in there that needs to be fixed. I mean, I sent you guys a picture. Remember that picture I just sent you guys the other night? I'm literally sitting there at dinner in the middle of Yuma, at this Italian
We're all
restaurant.
looking at the food, and I didn't realize it took me like 3 minutes of looking like, oh, okay, that's what he's talking about. The drink over the old fashioned over there.
So
whatever.
you know, at the one end of the bar where the waitresses come up to get the drinks from, I didn't realize I'd sat down there, and I sat down there, and they brought me my plate, because I don't go sit in a booth when I go eat by myself. I just go sit up the bar. You don't take up a whole booth.
Right.
Just common sense for me. And, you know, I sat at a bar for years, and I don't really care. I sat down there. I didn't even notice the rubber mat that was sitting in front of me. And I sit there, and I'm eating, and all of a sudden this girl sits this whole old fashioned right down in front of me. And I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, but that's not for me. She goes, no. I said, ma'am, that's not for me. I'm a recovered alcoholic. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. She went to move. And I go, I'm kidding. You can leave it there. And it's sitting there. So I take a picture of it, and I sent it to Rob and a few of the guys. I go, here's a trigger.
And I was like, dude, that food looks great. What are you talking about?
He didn't notice. He didn't notice the old fashioned sitting, you know, and it's beginning to be a theme for me every time I go to Yuma. These stupid old fashions keep popping up. Remember the time before I told you I bought my boss an old fashioned at that Prime House.
Heck yeah. But that trigger, people having those.
Is it honor God?
Right.
Right. Are you being tested?
And it's
allowed to be tested?
I mean, you know, when I say this,
walking outside's a test.
I'd say this all the time. Those old fashioned, if I was going to sip a drink, was the drink that I would go to, right? And that, you know, it sits down there. To me, it's a laughing thing for me anymore.
If I had that, it would be a top shelf Long Island.
Right.
Like if we go to Red Lobster or something, the top shelf Long Island, I would sip maybe the first, no, I wouldn't sip the whole fucking thing, you know, but maybe the first little bit just to get it, and then down.
You sure as hell wouldn't let the ice
Our
melt.
podcast,
hell no, that ice ain't melting.
Our podcast can become a trigger for somebody. We talk about drinks.
But that's a form of denial,
right?
A trigger, because you're leaving yourself in Africa,
which is not a river in Africa.
Not just a river in Africa. You're damn right. No. You know, it is
right, because
you're leaving that little. You know, I'm like you guys in every way except for this,
right?
You know, if I get too dude.
Isn't that where we're supposed to focus on the similarities and not the differences?
Right.
Well, I mean, because we're going to do the big book study on Thursdays, because I brought it up. And Larry goes, and this guy goes, well, Rob, everybody else is on board because, you know, Bill spins the doctor's opinion, his story, more, there is a solution, chapter 2, more about alcoholism, chapter 3, there's 3 chapters in the doctor's opinion trying to convince you of step 1 or show you that step 1, that's all on step 1, you know, that you're powerless over alcohol and your life's unmanageable. The problem doesn't center outside us. It centers in our mind, you know, that we can, and then the main problem with the alcoholic is not the fact that we have a physical allergy, which would never affect us if we didn't have that mental obsession. We didn't take the first drink. We got to find a power over the first drink. That's when he spends 4 chapters basically trying to get you to that point so that we agnostics,
right.
Chapter 4 is all about step 2.
You know, and you said a word a minute ago, Rob, the word denial. And I actually want to take a little bit of time in this. I want to list to one thing. This doesn't really talk about, we're going to go into two things today. One is denial, which I'm going to come back to that. But I want to take a listen.
If you want to understand addiction, you can't look at what's wrong with the addiction. You have to look at what's right about it. In other words, what is the person getting from the addiction? What are they getting that otherwise they don't have? And what addicts get are relief from pain. What they get is a sense of peace, a sense of control, a sense of calmness, very, very temporarily. And the question is, why are these qualities missing from their lives? What happened to them? If you look at the drugs like heroin, like morphine, like codeine, if you look at cocaine, if you look at alcohol, these are all painkillers. One way or another, they all soothe pain. And that's what the real question in addiction is, not why the addiction, but why the pain. Now,
you know, and I heard that, and I spoke last night at Living Sober, and it was a great, I kind of told my story in a little bit different way than what I've done in the past, only because of, you know, one of my, you know, I feel for me, I have 2 messages when I speak, right? One is the depression side of it, you know, pulling pulling myself out of that depression and how I worked out of it. The other one that I like to say all the time
first,
is
recognizing that you were in the darkness.
Right. You know, and I'm going to come back to that a little bit, but the other thing is, you know, that drink, that I'm one drink away, right? You almost missed that. And I tell that to people all the time, you know, that the guy I spoke to up in Sacramento that did my financing on my new vehicle and that kind of stuff, you know, he sent me a picture of his twin babies, and I told him, I'm like, you're one drink away from missing the joy of that, bud. Just remember that, you know. And I tell people that all the time, because I look at myself and the things going on with me, and we're just that one drink away, right? And the other thing that is the depression that I had, you know, we work through that, the pains. Right. I don't know if mine is so classified, and I've never been to I have, but I never spoke about my depression in my therapy sessions. I shouldn't say that. I didn't go into details about my depression. I never really had a therapist like ask me and go into details and go into that side of it. But you know, the alcohol, when I started drinking, it helped with that. Right.
Oh yeah.
It helped.
If it didn't help, we wouldn't have done it.
Right.
You know, if it didn't work for us for a time, we wouldn't have done it.
So, but I didn't realize, right, that that's what I was doing.
But we don't realize when it turned on us.
Right.
Like as I say, you know, because you didn't realize you were in darkness, as you shared last night. It came on slowly, like
Very
a frog
slow.
in the pan of water. You turn the heater on, you turn the stove on. Yep. He's all fine, and he doesn't realize it because it came on you slowly until you were broken and a little bit of light. Someone shined a little bit of light and you realize,
Right. That's what I want. Right. I didn't realize it was in that
but we're denying. I'm not like you other people. I'm not like the rest of you fuckers.
Right.
You know, this is how. This is, you know, drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking, you know, everything on page 30. Never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours. All these shit we tried to manage and control our drinking. Never admitting we had a fucking problem. How many we lose jobs? We take geographical changes, moving like John did, moving from state to state. Because but there's still alcohol. What's the problem? And you find the same problems there. Oh, but you took the problem with you, which was you. But no, I'm not the problem. And this is how I'm going to outsmart it. Either whether I'm educated or whether, you know, it's denial.
You know, and you talk about that. I never once denied I was an alcoholic in my brain.
Did you try anything on page 30?
Oh yeah, almost everything on there.
That's denial.
Right.
You were denying what you were trying to manage and control.
You never consciously did it.
Right.
Yeah.
I never came out and said, no, I had even told Katie when Katie and I would have conversations, I know I'm an alcoholic. I just don't, I'm not going to do anything about it.
I disagree with that though.
What do you mean?
You're a drunk. Alcoholics try to work towards a solution. A drunk is just a drunk.
Well,
that's just.
I know, but in my mind, I knew I was an alcoholic. I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't have the balls to do anything about it. Because I was scared. I was scared to death of what people were going to think about me inside my industry.
I didn't know the options. When I was in the hospital, when the doctor said, Mr. Thomas, your liver's this big, and I'm joking, Bonnie's crying.
Right.
I knew in my mind, I know the alcohol's a problem, but I didn't have a solution at that time. I was terrified. What am I going to do? How am I going to sleep? You know, I have all these excuses that I used to drink. You know?
I don't know if I went through that thought process.
Well, I was in the hospital just having a doctor tell me you're not going to, you're not going to walk your daughter down the aisle, Mr. Thomas, because you're going to, and I'm thinking, well, I know he's right, but I'm not admitting it.
All the page turning you guys are hearing is we got two book thumpers in here today. We got John and Rob, book thumpers in here.
They're
digging.
Brad's digging. Brad has stamped a label on me and I can't outlabel it.
I actually caught Rob in a mistake. He said page 30. It's page 31, and I had to verify it before I said something.
31. I apologize. I am incorrect.
You know, it's all right.
Hands down, Rob is 10 times better at this book than I am. I know it's in there. I just can't tell you exactly where it's at.
Which one? Pronounce people? Oh, no. You're right. Drinking beer only.
Yeah. The list of, drinking beer only, living, the number of drinks, never drinking at home.
You know, the one of the biggest things that I think that I recognize. So I'm going to go back to what you said just a minute ago, because we kind of jumped over that. I knew you said you didn't know where to go and what to do. The difference between you and me is I had put drivers into rehab, right? So I knew what had to be done. I knew,
Okay.
I knew all the processes I was going to have to go through to get sober. I was scared to death. My ego, my arrogance was so bad that I didn't know how the companies that I was working for was going to survive if I left for 30
Which was
days.
fear.
Right. I didn't want the people in my industry to think that I was a weak-minded person, right? I didn't want all that stigma of being an alcoholic, and I knew I was an alcoholic.
But you didn't
My
want them to know it.
Yes, because I had hid it for so long. You know, like I said, even when I went down to tell the owners of the company that I was going into rehab, they were shocked, right? I mean, I'm running a company. They were shocked. They had no idea that, you know, that I had the problem that I had. And because I didn't, and we're going to talk about this. One of the things you said you wanted to talk about, the yets, right? Or John, you said you wanted to get in that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But there's nothing on my yet list, right? Nothing. Nor do I ever want to go see that yet list, right? I don't want anything to do with it. That's why I say I'm one drink away from that yet list.
But you notice how we say it now, you know, like I just got done doing a 5th step, John. I went from the young man that, you know, came in, that I just listened to his 5th step, and then came over here. We got done kind of early, and he says, you know, and he talks about, you know, the one, you know, I'm one drink away from going right back to where I was. I mean, now that when us guys who are down the road a while,
Right.
we say, man, we could have missed this. One more drink and we could have missed all of this. And he's not there yet because he's,
Right.
but his fiance came back.
Yeah, see,
You know,
the
that kind of-
promises.
The
Does he
promises already,
recognize?
he's just done his 5th step, and the promises are already
You know
starting
that,
to come true.
but he goes, and when I'm part of his 5th step, you know, he goes, you know, and the anxiety is gone. He goes, what was weird, Rob, the drinking what I used to drink over,
Right.
you know, and they try to suppress that. The alcohol would bring it on.
Right. It would make
10
it
times-
worse.
Yeah, make it worse.
Isn't it funny how we recognize that later?
The medicine causes it causes the
Right.
problem.
Right. It's just funny how we recognize that after our head clears up a little.
That's what he says,
Our
right.
head clears up a little bit, and then all of a sudden, you know, and I say that now, and I think I said it last night when I was talking, is that, you know, now when I feel that anxiety starting to come up, I either said something that I shouldn't have said, I left something unresolved, or I have a task or something that I need to accomplish. And that's the first thing I look for is
There's something inside
what,
us.
yeah, something's wrong, right? Something's wrong in what I've done, where I'm at. I got to fix that. And that's that anxiety. But before, we thought we had to medicate that with something.
Well, I didn't want to feel it
No, for sure. No, we were trying to get rid of it because
because my behavior was bringing that shit on.
Right.
And I knew how to, you know.
Well, my brain sometimes will just lie to me, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
still to this day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Not true to
I
yourself.
can't tell you how many times I've walked into my boss and said, "Hey, dude, are we good? Are we good?" Because in my head, something happened that I don't even know happened. Right. And it really didn't happen, but my anxiety is kicking off like it
Right.
did. Right. So I'll just walk it up to his room. I'll be like, "Hey, dude, we good?" He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
You
I'm like, "Okay,
overthinking?
yeah, all the time,
Right.
all the time." You know,
Question.
and then he's like, "You know, what are you talking about?" I'm like, he goes, "Your head again?" Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
bye. You know,
Gilbert said this at the meeting on Thursday. I'm going to question both of you answer this. Okay. You get a text from the boss. Hey, when you come back by the office, would you please come see me? And that's it. What's the first thing that comes through your head, John?
What the fuck did I do?
I walk in the office. I say, "Do I need to close the door?" Because the only time I'm in trouble, I
But
know
why
I'm
would you
in
think-
trouble is if I have to close the door.
Why would you think that? Why would you think that? Why would that be the first thing that comes to your mind when you haven't done anything? I'm just doing my job. You know what? But
Because
why do we go to that? And I'm not sure it's not just an
I can
alcoholic
answer it.
thing. I'm sure it's not just
Answer
an
it.
alcoholic thing. But go ahead.
I can tell you why for me, because every time when I was in my drinking phase, right? In my drinking phase, I got to the point where, and I know Katie hates when I talk about this, but I got to the point when I saw Katie's phone call coming across my phone. I was like, oh, fuck. What did I do? Right? That was the first thing. And it's the same thing where
But why now when we're living this?
I did because of that old trauma that we had.
Okay.
Right. That old trauma I don't get it anymore. Right. I don't get it anymore because I overthink over other things now. Right. What I overthink about now is, so I don't worry about something that I did. Right. I don't worry about something that I did. What I worry more now is something that I haven't done. right?
Oh, I got
What I have, what I haven't done.
Like, what did you forget to do, or
what did I
what did you
forget to
not
do
that you had promised that you would do, or something like
know,
that?
and I get it I do it, and that's a that's a self-imposed issue that we have. You know, I had to have, well, I didn't have to have, I was having basically my first sales meeting with all the salesmen in the company that I was running, and I was just overthinking the shit out of it, right? Did
Like
I do
we do.
this? Yeah. Did I do this? Did I do this? Blah, blah, blah. You know, this, am I going to do this? And I was talking to one of the owners, and I was going through this, and he started laughing. I'm like, what the fuck's so funny? He goes, the way your brain works just fucking is incredible. And he goes, do you have any idea how much you're overthinking everything? And I go, I do, but you know, this is how I prepare. And he goes, Larry, relax. Yeah. You're perfectly fine. You're fine. You've covered everything. You ain't got nothing to worry about. But you know,
mine goes back to, there was so many years where I did so much shit that hurt people's feelings, right, or I did things and I didn't even realize it. And that has, carried with it, through sobriety, like I was talking about before, where, shit just comes out of my mouth.
Oh yeah.
Long before my brain even processes what I said. And sometimes my brain never even processes that I hurt somebody's feelings. Right. And then they run to the bosses, and then, the bosses call me in, and then,
now,
so I always told them.
Is it usually at work with you?
That'll happen anywhere.
So
with
not so much outside of
Not
work.
so much outside of work, because I'm so focused on the task at hand. That.
So what is it? So why do you have a filter outside? And not so much a filter at
which
work?
is one of the things one of the things that I've been working on so much here, and just in the last 6 months or a year, is that when that try to slow down to process that first thought. We always talk about how that first thought is. If you don't act on that first thought,
right. We're not responsible for the first thought.
Yeah, there you go. That's
responsible
what
for the first action.
Right. Yeah. So usually it's the action, and then the thought gets processed later.
Because usually for us,
with
first
me.
Thought is wrong.
So I've really been trying really hard to slow all of that down, because everything's going on so fast in my head most of the time that I have to slow that down. And
so, okay. I want to go back. We kind of pulled away from this a little bit, because I don't feel like, I'm trying to reel us back in. Reeling us back in, because we started talking about denial, right? Because there's still so many people. We got wives, husbands, moms and dads that are still dealing with somebody in that addiction, that's in denial, right? So what can we say to help them?
Nothing. Oh, because here we are. What did I tell you? Remember the spray I want to create?
Right.
When you and I go to Maynard's, right? And when we went there, the time I spoke the week before you did, and there's people in there. I said, okay, what are you guys going to, what are you going to do? And the whole thing we're telling them is, your best thinking got you here. Right. Praise God, you are here. You recognize that there is a problem, but you're still in denial about what? When this one guy goes, when I get out, I'm going to go to sober living, then I'm going to get a job. And what about a sponsor work the steps? What about your alcoholism?
Right.
That you're not facing.
Right.
What are you going to do about that? Because if you don't, you're not going to have a fucking job. It don't matter if you go to sober living. If you don't deal with the problem at hand, what do you, what do you tell them? Because I've got someone who's, an educated person. This people, which sometimes is a hindrance, because they're so
huge hindrance.
They're educated because
it talks about that in our
book.
They're
going to outthink. They
think that they're so smart that they can outthink this simple program.
They've thrown away. They've watched their family members. They've watched family members die from this disease. They've lost relationships.
Parents.
They've lost relationships, and then they've moved. Like Johnny's talked about this geographic. They moved. What about the problem? They've taken the problem with them. What do you say to them?
Problem don't go away till you deal with it.
Alcohol is our best tool right now. You got to let alcohol do its work. It's sad.
It's
Because if there was that one thing, I'd go to every rehab from here to fucking Kentucky, and I'd say whatever.
Why'd you stop in Kentucky?
Well, whatever, whatever. Because that's as far as I'm going, fucking east.
Wow.
Poor people in Florida.
Fucking people over there. That's too far.
Florida.
And I think the reason why I bring that up is because, we talk more about alcoholism. We read it all the time. And, and it's, what's funny is when you have a captive audience if they're in the rooms of AA, they think they have a problem, right? So the denial is a little bit skewed, right? The denial is calmed down a little bit.
There might be still some there because they're not.
But they're there. right?
Yeah,
I mean, how many people are still dancing on the fence and they need to be in?
Okay, but
so they're not hearing these things.
But they think the problem is alcohol, or they think the problem is you. They're in the
no, they're blaming everything else, so they pick up
that victim mentality.
The victim.
They're in the.
I was talking about before.
Yeah, they're in the rooms. You know, the ones that they get here and they don't grab a sponsor work. Yes. They're in the rooms.
Yes, there's some of those that are in there,
but they're not realizing what the problem is yet. There is a problem.
We've seen that. We've had one of them in our group that denied he was an alcoholic for about a year, and we were all sitting in a room
waiting for him.
We were all sitting in a room, and I think he said it, I am an alcoholic, and I think every one of us that was in that room all kind of looked at each other and go, did he just say what we think he said?
Yeah, we all pretty much gasped and we're like, wow,
finally,
dude, welcome.
He said it.
Welcome.
He went and did his homework.
Welcome.
Right.
He went and tried some controlled drink and didn't like the result.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now he's dug in.
But he didn't, and he didn't have to get to the depths that we did, but he found out.
And he realized that being in the rooms and doing the steps, that he was an alcoholic, and realized how well his life, the promises that were coming to him when he finally gave into this program, gave into the steps, gave into the things that people were telling him to do. He was giving it. I'm going to read this real fast, right? I know this may go out, but this is more about alcoholism, and this is the
crux of it.
Right here.
I hope you're going to read right here what I'm looking at.
Here are some of the methods. Is that where you want to go?
No.
What are you wanting to go to?
We learned more about alcoholism. Page 30, John, not 31 this time. We learned that we had to fully concede. What does that word mean, concede? To our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion, which is a lie, right?
Yep.
Because it says obsession, which is a lie, illusion, which is a lie, insanity, which is also a lie. The delusion that we are like other people who can drink normally,
had to be smashed,
or presently may be like those people, has to be smashed. We've lost the ability to control our drinking. No alcoholic ever recovers control.
Yeah.
And until you get there, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. You if you don't understand
by yourself, and either your intelligence, your intellect, your denial, to face the fact that alcohol's kicking your ass, and it's going to keep kicking your ass until you do something about it. Till you recognize that you are the problem, not the booze, not your mama, not your dad. You are the problem.
And if you have tried some of these methods,
18 of them,
if you have tried drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy.
Or switching from Scott to brandy. Stop it.
Right. Or from
Scott to
beer to wine to beer to, during business hours, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to
treatment centers.
Right? We can increase this list at infinitum. But now listen to here. We don't like to pronounce an individual as an alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself, step over to the nearest bar room and try some controlled drinking. Try to drink and stop abruptly. Try more than once. It will not take you long for you to decide if you are honest with yourself. There's the key part, right?
If you
are honest with yourself about it, it may be worth a bad case of jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition. That's the part that always gets me, right?
One of my favorite parts in this chapter is all of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in a grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse and never better.
Never better.
Right. And that's before what you read. That's
I got a question.
That is actually on page 30. But yeah.
Thank you for reading that, John. But I got a question. And here it is with the mind, the alcohol, the problem centers in our mind. Tried some, but would you just read? Go start it again. Here we go.
Sorry, page turning again.
Yeah. Sorry.
All of us felt at times
that we were
regaining control, but such intervals.
Normal people don't think like. When I talk about normal, I'm talking about people who drink normally.
Right.
They don't think like that.
No.
They don't think like that. They don't think, I wonder if I have a problem. If you ever ask somebody that,
if you've ever thought you have a problem, odds are you've already got a problem.
got a problem.
Right? I mean, if you're playing the odds, if you're thinking, man, you know, I'm thinking I'm drinking a little bit too much.
I'm going to try to control.
Like, you know,
once you start doing that, normal drinkers don't have to do that.
When
You've
you really,
got a problem.
when you start getting into that denial stage, right?
There you
But
go.
I'm not there.
That's
But
what
I'm
you
not
are.
there, right? I'm not there.
I'm not that bad.
I'm not there yet. I'm not
not-
that bad because everybody's bottom is so much different,
Right.
right? There's so many folks out there that, you know, their bottom is so high, or their bottom is really low, right? And
Like the
it's-
gentleman, like the guy we were just talking about in our group, he still got a great job, his wife, all that stuff, but the bottom came up and hit him in the ass. He started seeing when I drink, I don't like this man.
Right.
your bottom is whenever you put down the shovel and stop digging.
However, I'm going to just for our audience, if you've lost relationships, if you've tried geographics because of alcohol, you're a fucking alcoholic. We don't like to pronounce anyone.
Yeah, but let's
we
go.
qualify the alcoholic.
Go ahead.
You've got you've got a problem.
That's where that denial came in for me, right? Because when I left,
What did you
the
tell
first
yourself
time-
when you went to leave? What were you telling yourself?
Oh, I was telling myself, you know, that I was an addict and I had to get away, and the drugs were the problem
Okay.
because I was still denying that I was an alcoholic, right?
But
I
the
never.
drugs were making you drink.
The drugs were the problem.
No, I was. The drugs weren't making me drink. No,
the drugs were the problem.
No, in my head, the drugs were the problem.
And if you go over
But
here,
if I go over there, because when I'm an alcoholic, I'm a
Because
fully
they don't
functioning.
make drugs over there.
Yeah, no, I'm a fully functioning alcoholic, right? I still go to work. I still pay the bills. I still do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm going out and, you know, I'm drinking my whole check away because, you know, that's not a problem. And I'm broke by the next Friday, and I don't have any food, but that's still not the problem because I was in denial.
Right.
Right. The whole time that I was in that other state at that tech school, I mean, I got paid once a month. My uncle was helping me. And by the middle of the month, you know, I'm hungry and I'm out of food, but by God, I still had alcohol, but I still didn't have a problem. And that is 100% denial.
So what did you think you would find in another state, or what would you think you were running from? You know, how was that fixing the problem? How was that fixing it?
I didn't understand it at the time. I just knew that if I stayed here, you know, that was the problem, right? If I could go somewhere else and I could start over and I wouldn't know anybody and things would be better, you know, and that would be, you know, it's all, you know, peaches and roses over there.
Okay, then when shit started happening going south over there, what did you think? Go back to where you were, you know, because you did. You came back home.
Well, you know, when I left the second time and when I came back home, I came back because everything was so good there, even though I was drinking like a fish, right? Everything was so good there that I came back so I could take care of, you know, some of that wreckage, you know, the warrants and that kind of trying to get my license back and all of that stuff. And then I was going to go back, and then it, you know, the bottom fell out of that. And then I went back to what I knew, right? We went over all of that before, but I remember, you know, when I went to drug court and they told me I couldn't drink again, right? And I was like, what? What do you mean I can't drink? I'm in here for drugs, right? You know, I've got a drug problem. I don't have a drinking problem. Right. And that was 100% denial. You know, and what I do, the first thing I did which is why I don't advocate for non-alcoholic beverages, right? For like beer and whatever.
Right.
Then they didn't even have 0%. It was like Coors Cutter, you know,
like
0.5%, you know, it was like half a percent or whatever. While having been in other states where, you know, liquor stores were still closed on Sunday, right? You couldn't go to a liquor store on Sunday. Well,
it's just a liquor store.
Yeah, just the liquor stores were closed on Sunday, but you could go to the grocery store and you could get. It's almost like near beer, right? But it's 3.2% alcohol.
What about those of us who just drank whiskey? And I don't never drink. I hate that shit.
You couldn't get it on Sunday. Yeah. You had to stock up on Saturday. Yeah,
or you had to plan your alcohol.
Yeah,
but that's not alcoholism.
But we did.
But that's not alcoholism.
But that's not alcoholism, right? We did. We had to plan our alcohol to make sure that we had enough to get us through, you know, Sunday on Saturday
being an
night.
alcohol prepper.
Hey, did you drink more? Let me ask this question because did you drink more when you had a stock?
Yes.
Oh yeah, isn't that the sick part?
Yeah. One time I cried, but it was getting towards the end. I went to the fridge, and where I thought my bottle should be, the level was less than. I was like, and I'm just. But by this time I'm being rationed, dude. And the anxiety, welled up, and I was so. And I like,
how am I going to make it through?
You got a problem, and then guess what? motherfucker, I got a stash in the garage. I mean, but the feeling that I felt, the terror, I'd felt that again about a year and a half later when I was on my ass, and the end came, was that same terror, that same anxiety. But I was like,
when did you drink the NASCAR bottle that Bonnie had?
oh, that was periodically because it was up there when I would like just.
When you got desperate?
Yeah, because it wasn't that fucking good.
When I got desperate, I'd drink Boone's Farm.
Junior Johnson's.
Dude, when I got desperate, I'd drink my wife's chiladas.
So I'd
rather drink my own piss.
But I didn't have a drinking problem.
No, I drank just fine. I had a stopping problem is what I had.
Yeah, but let's go back to what I
stopped.
Let's go back to what I originally asked.
What?
I never had a problem telling somebody I was an alcoholic. I was a fucking alcoholic, and I never had a problem saying that.
But you didn't see it as a problem.
Fuck, I didn't. I knew it was a fucking problem.
But
I did.
Then the willingness hadn't come yet to do something
John,
about it.
thank
Right?
you.
Then the willingness, right? You knew you were an alcoholic. You weren't.
I wasn't in enough pain.
You weren't in enough pain.
You weren't enough pain.
No, like I said, when Patrick wouldn't take my phone call, which come to find out, I think I've said this.
Right.
He did not take my phone call because he was pissed at me. He didn't take it for another reason, but God saw it for me to see it.
There's that thinking we were talking about a little while ago, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Johnny going into his boss. Hey, do we have a problem?
We have a problem right now. There really wasn't a problem, but you thought there was a problem, and look, you obviously had a problem.
But it took me right because I literally hung up that phone and said,
I love
"Take
that
me to rehab."
circular logic we've got. That magic magnifying mind of the alcoholic.
Take me to rehab. That was as soon as that happened, my willingness. And knowing the last defense I had was.
Let me ask you this: What did you think when he told you that he wasn't mad at you, and you just destroyed the whole life that you thought you had?
He just found it out. He just figured it out.
I just found it out.
But how did you feel?
Recording.
How did you feel at that point?
I thanked him. I thanked him for not answering that phone call. 1,000%. God literally saved my life that day. And I still thanked him for not answering that phone call.
Which is why we're here.
Right.
Which is why this podcast got started, which is every time I go speak, we're trying to find out, or I'm trying to find out, which I'll never stop, that one word, that one thing you could say to someone, they've lost their job, relationships, they've moved off to the far country. The thing of the spray, I'm trying to figure out, I could go spray in their fucking face, some pheromones or something.
Tell me what you want to try it on.
They can find that great gift of desperation. Here it is.
But it goes back to what Doctor was saying on
Pain.
that, on what I just listened to. It's not, if we could figure out a way in verbiage to say to somebody to get them to understand that the alcohol you're drinking is not the problem, right? That's not. It's the cure for the problem that we need to figure out, right?
It's your solution. It's right now. It's what you think your solution is.
Let's talk about. I don't want to talk about your drinking problem. Let's talk about you for a few minutes.
Why are you drinking?
Why are you drinking? Well, I'm drinking because I want to. It makes me feel good.
Does it?
Making you feel good from what?
Yeah.
Right.
Why do you feel bad?
Why do you feel bad?
You read that. You said, we do not like to pronounce an individual an alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself.
Go to page 93 now. Go to page 93.
Here we go.
We don't like to pronounce anyone, but Bill's going to tell you, but we qualify the fuck out of these motherfuckers because we have to, because we are the only ones who are qualified. You know what? Go to page 93, Johnny. I'm sorry. Shit. 92. It says,
get your shit right.
If he is alcoholic, he will understand you at once. He will match your mental inconsistencies with some of his own. If you are satisfied that he is a real alcoholic, okay, so we don't like to pronounce, but we qualify the shit out of you. Show him from your own experience, the hopeless, begin to dwell on the hopeless feature of the malady. Show him from your own experience how the queer mental conditions, the Larry mental conditions, surrounding that first drink prevents normal functioning. We got to get over that. Why do you take?
How do you get somebody that's in denial to get to that point to listen?
That's the $1,000 question.
Right.
If I knew, and that's what we try to, and I will never stop trying to find that one, because I don't know what you could have told me. I don't know what you could have told you or John.
Right.
We move at the speed of pain.
What we do. And
when the pain we're in becomes greater than our fear of change, we'll change. And until that threshold is crossed, you will fucking destroy yourself and everybody around you.
At the end, it was nobody could say anything or do anything to me personally that was going to change the outcome, right? Like nobody was going to say any one word or hit me with a spray or do any of that was going to change it. I was so far gone that it took months of being completely dry.
Right.
Before
your mind was clear.
My mind was clear enough to be like,
and everybody's in
and then it continued to take, over slowly for many more years before I really had that forgive yourself moment.
Right. You had one person didn't answer a phone call, and that one person who was on.
But you got to remember, I was so broken at that point, Rob, and I was begging for help, for help.
Right. From who?
Begging.
From who?
Just me, right? So that's a great question, John. I was begging for help.
You were telling everybody you were an alcoholic out loud, right? And you were begging for help, but were you really asking for help?
No, I wasn't.
Until that day, when you finally said, "Take me."
And I think at that point,
but I think there's certain points, a certain someone, because I listened to this. Okay, when I went to that men's retreat, this pastor said something to me. We were BSing because his brother was there, and his brother was one of us. That. And he goes, here was my prayer to God. I know I'm not the one to get through to John, Lord, but whoever that man is that you're going to send that's going to turn the tide, bring him. And lo and behold, it did happen. And I was like, man, that's a great prayer.
Right.
I know it maybe not me, Lord, the one that's going to touch his life, but whoever that person is that you've got to touch him and to get hold of my son or to get my daughter back to send him, bring him, That's a great way.
And and I appreciate that, and I think, one of the things,
because I believe there is somebody,
right? There is, and I think that's what this podcast is doing as well, right? And
that's our attempt,
right? Well, it is, and I think a lot of people judge me by having the tattoos that I have on my arm. I got the
I judge the shit out of you.
Good, I don't give a fuck, but because I get, how many times people have seen the unity triangle on my arm. And have asked me about it, right? And if that right there sparks somebody to go, well, maybe I do. Maybe I need to look at something. But here it is.
Even if we're not, because
I'm talking about complete strangers have asked me about it.
But even if we're not, think about, let's get into the Bible, right? Because if you're a Christian, the Bible is your basic text. If you're an alcoholic, this is our basic text. But Jesus talks about the four soils. But even if we're not the one that are going to water, we're either going to plant, we're going to water, we're going to somehow nurture someone along their destructive path, and help them. Whenever that pain becomes greater, we could so we're planting seeds or watering somebody.
Yeah, it's amazing how often I get asked about alcoholism, drinking, brought up, like I said, I'm going to be by the time that when this airs, I'm going to be in Vegas. The last big drunk that I had, was at this conference. Right. This conference is in February.
3 years ago.
It'll be 3. Yeah. 3 years ago, this conference, it was the worst drunk when I got kicked out of a bar, wandering around the streets of Vegas, not able to find my hotel. And then it was March, and then April 12th is when.
And I don't mean to make light of it, because going through your step work, this bothered you. That really did. That really bothered you.
I created some damage at that one. Some people that it did. Yeah. It really did. That I really hurt some people. Yeah.
You say damage, I say wreckage.
Same difference.
What's the difference?
Same difference.
Yeah.
Right.
It was ugly, and thank God most of those people I've actually spoke to and done my amends to. Not mostly, all of them. So there's one person that I may run into, but I doubt it. And if they do show up, I don't see it being a problem. I will fucking hug them and tell them I'm sorry. I fucked up. Yeah. And I think pretty much, here's the thing about this, that we play out those things that he may not even have thought about it in the last 3 fucking years.
Probably not. Just like John said, hey, are we good? What are you talking about? They don't.
Right. I've made amends like that.
And it's just what I shared with that young man who's in his 30s. I said, you realize this, we're talking about when we were going through his step work and what people thought, what did it affect, affect his, his self-esteem and all that stuff. When we're in our 20s and 30s, we really care about what people think of us. When we hit 40, we don't give a fuck what you think about.
Why does that happen?
When we hit our 50s, we realize, ain't nobody been thinking about you. You're not that important.
You are not the center of the universe.
Nobody gives a shit
I tell
about
myself
you.
that all the time. I say, what you think of me is none of my fucking business.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it's not.
It's really not.
And this came true to my wife when we went shopping at Macy's earlier this last summer. And she didn't realize she got dressed, everything, because she don't like to go out. She don't like people. We got into Macy's doing some shopping because she had to buy for one of our company parties. And she didn't realize that she had her fucking slippers still on. But we walked through the store. We walked in. She didn't realize till we were walking out. And no one looked. No one said a thing. No one gives a shit about us. Nobody thinks about us like
Have you been to Walmart?
No.
This wasn't Walmart. That was Macy's.
No, I know. But have you been to Walmart? Because most of those people don't give a fuck what they look like either.
I haven't been to
That's true.
I haven't been to Walmart.
You need to go.
But when I
It's good
retire, I'm going to
comedy.
be a Walmart greeter.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
I want to work at a national park. I want to pick up garbage at a national park.
That'd be kind of cool.
Travel. Right. I don't know. Hey, so yeah, that was denial.
So yeah,
What kind of-
still not a river in Africa.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
There's one there.
Yeah.
But
Not the denial we're talking.
Does it flow north or south?
But okay, now remember, and here's the truth. When me and Aaron, when I was going to shoot that guy in the car.
Aaron and I.
Aaron and I, you're right. God, I hate what I say. Dude, but no, he's right. I hate when I say that. Because I rarely do, but sometimes I hear the podcast. Rob, your tactonomy sucks and your grammar sucks sometimes. When Aaron and I
And you say
this,
fuck too much.
I do. I apologize. Lord,
I got Katie. Katie got mad at me for the last one.
But when me and Aaron and I started this podcast, after they're going to shoot the guy.
No,
and
not
I said,
podcast.
Well,
when
no,
Aaron
yeah.
and I started the meeting.
And we said, Lord,
Damn it.
He's off today.
we will leave no stone unturned
Right.
for your truth if you will you'll bring men and help. Because that's still the goal.
Right.
I'm never going to stop looking for that one thing to say to the alcoholic, to the person that's destroying themselves,
Right.
to try to get them to see the light.
And I want to be very careful on how, I don't stand on a soapbox and beat a tom-tom and tell people.
You did
to
some preaching
scream.
yesterday a little bit.
I did, but I was.
Johnny was awesome though when he did. He made
I
people
was
stand up.
in the room. I was in the room where it needed to be spoke. I don't do it.
You didn't do a lot of preaching, but towards the end, you did a little bit of
I
preaching.
did. I
looked
did.
at Ron, because Ron grew up Southern Baptist, Ron.
Yeah.
And he goes, watch this, Rob. And he didn't even, because he'd heard you, he goes, I guess get ready to do a little preaching. And he did. And it was awesome.
Because I go back to what we've talked about is just when you have opportunity, even though there's some people there's nobody in there last night that stood up that were in their first 30 days of sobriety. There was nobody in there, but there were still people in there that I know didn't have a sponsor. And there is those people that
They're in denial because
they're in denial,
they're
right?
in the rooms, and they're in the rooms,
Or
and
they're thinking. I just talked to somebody the other day, and I think it was last night. In fact, they went 3 years until they decided to get a sponsor. 3 fucking years
Right.
of being dry
crazy.
before they got a sponsor and worked these steps. Why in the fuck would you put yourself through that? Why?
Because they were working on the first power. They came in, they got the alcohol out of their lives. And once you do that, life starts getting kind of good. You're resting on that first power, which is the power of the program, the power of the fellowship. You're kind of bolstered up, right? You're not going to recover that way, but you can stay sober. Some people stay sober.
Would you
for
lick
years.
the outside of a lollipop and not go to the center?
That's not the kind of alcoholic I am. I always bite anyway. I'm like
Going up 3
Mr.
weeks later.
I'm like Mr. Owl.
missed
You
my
get 3.
point.
No, I get it, buddy.
You missed my point. Why would you only go in for the what is just the minute, just
Because
just
that's
the
all
top
you. That's all
layer
you
of
need.
what this
Fear.
program's going to do for you.
Look at Nathan. Nathan was in 6 years, right? But then he got in such an emotional state
Right.
of brokenness that he's either going to drink or I need to do this because I'm done. I've gotten all I can from the fellowship. And he did his steps, and now he's at the next level.
And then you have guys like me that, we got the book and we did it.
Just like the book was, just like it was
Just like
intended.
the book was designed,
Right.
That's
a
exactly what it was
mail order program,
Hey.
because nowhere in that first 164 pages does it say the word sponsor.
Go to page.
No, you're
Johnny,
right.
Turn to page
Right.
163. I'll tell you exactly what it says. Go to page 163.
It
one
doesn't
page
say
back
sponsor.
No. Let's go one page back.
Oh, here we
Read
go.
right here, Daddy. Though you be but one man, say it. Just read from 163. Though you be but one man, find those words. Oh, I don't have your book open, but it's up on page 163. Though you be but one man. You're right at the top. You're almost there.
Oh, yeah.
This-
Because you're starting in the middle of the sentence.
Yeah.
Thus we grow.
Thus we grow.
Thus we go. So you can't. And so you, Wait, whoa.
And so you can. Though you be but one man with this book in your hand, we believe and hope it contains all you will need to begin.
Just to begin.
That's what Bill Wilson, that is the context of this book. It went out. You get it. You get to this point, you know, though you be but one man with this book. Can you imagine the guy, which there were,
Right.
Yeah.
like John, and he's one of them in jail.
In jail. He
did
didn't have
his
any
book,
choice.
and he did it. He did it, and then he took it and carried it. That's how it's supposed to go. The way you did it is the way Bill Wilson intended it.
Did you share that when you're? Well, you know, we're gonna come back.
Powerful.
We're gonna come back and dig into John's story. One of the reasons why John's coming back is because if you listen to his story the first time, he was a little jittery.
Well,
And I
and
invited-
you were treating me like a 9th Street hooker because you just wanted to get to Heather.
I
That's
will.
all.
9th Street Hooker. How do you?
I knew we
Avian
should-
Awards, 9th Street Hookers,
Jesus
Larry.
Christ.
We got to do some more step work with you, buddy.
No.
We actually talked about that afterwards.
tr-
He's like, "Man, you were jittery." Da, da, da. I'm like, "Dude, I felt like you were rushing me." He goes, "Yeah, I just wanted to get to Heather."
I really
And
did
I'm
want
I'm
Heather's
just
story.
Like, what?
Jesus, like Jay.
It had nothing to do with that. You guys.
And I actually told him on the phone.
Look
I
at
said,
him.
"So you were just treating me like a 9th Street hooker?" He goes, "Well, yeah,
Sorta.
kinda, sorta."
I wanted to get to Heather. Her story is still enlightening me. I even said to John earlier today, I whatever it is to help her, I want to help her get, because I think she can be a light to somebody. And
She already has been.
Yes.
There's a young lady in the treatment center right now who they got into. She just
right.
She would not be in treatment right now. She
Without
would not
Heather.
be seeking help if she did not hear Heather's story.
Right. So when we say we've touched that one soul, we have.
Well, she
We
did
have.
anyway.
Heather has.
We opened the door. Heather walked through and kicked some
Well, that
ass.
wouldn't have happened without you guys, which is why the podcast is here.
And none of it happens without God.
Yeah.
None of it.
Anyways, that's why we're bringing John back, because I want to get into John's story because I cut him
Larry
short.
misses that 9th Street love affair. Hooker.
You guys are killing me.
The one-legged hooker.
Oops.
Yeah. Hookers.
So we're out of here. Thank you, Rob.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Coming back.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and